June the 21st, 1968, the Dome Pavilion, Brighton. A local group called the Span prepares for its first big concert. None of them has undergone any formal musical education, but if they gamble successfully in the 20th century phenomenon known as pop, they could become millionaires before they're 25. Tonight's audience includes promoters, managers and agents, manipulators in the pop industry who could give the Span that initial shove needed to lodge them into the mainstream of the business. This daunting prospect is summed up by their manager, Mike Clayton. Dave Cash, disc jockey.
The Mike Stuart Span is a good group. The Mike Stuart Span could make #1 with the right song. The Mike Stuart Span could be the biggest thing in this country since sliced bread.
My name's Stuart. I'm the vocalist, and my ambition in life is to be successful.
He must believe that the Mike Stuart Span can one day take over from the Beatles. And then it's up to the Mike Stuart Span to say, our act has got to be so great, and people at this moment are not grabbing on and saying, aren't they great? They're saying, yes, they're all right, but they're not saying, aren't they great? And until they say, aren't they great, people will not pay large sums of money to see them. They play their instruments well, they sing well, they look good.
My name is Brian. I'm the guitarist of the group and do quite a bit of singing too. I'm self-conscious of my height.
They are going to have to find a record, they're going to have to find a song the same way that any other group finds a song. Because until they get that magic hit record in the hit parade, they're not going to get the big television shows like Top of the Pops and D-Time and all like that. And if they don't get exposure, then they're not going to get the big money.
My name's Roger, and I play bass guitar with the Span, and sometimes I sing. My ambition is to own a racing car and perhaps drive it.
No matter how you do it, whether you've got to crawl through drain pipes backwards or do any stupid thing, get that hit. And when you've got the first one, get the second one. When you get the second one, you can relax. They're in the market for at least 18 months to 2 years. And in that time, they can make anything up to £15,000, £20,000 a year.
I'm Roscoe, and I'm the drummer of the Span. At the moment, I haven't any definite ambitions as to what to do.
The concert. First house, first song. Their first big chance to show who they are.
You gotta get out of your head. You gotta step out of your mind. Gotta create what you been in your brain if you wanna get on in this world.
I've never heard of them. No.
Never heard of it.
Nothing. The what, dear?
The Span.
Now, what do you mean, the Span?
They're the Mike Stuart Span, of course, and they're a very good group, and they're really going to hit the top in the next 12 months. I really guarantee you that.
No, honestly, what is a span? You're not talking a span of life, are you?
Honestly, they're fantastic. It's taken me a year to build them up like this, and I've got Brian on guitar there. He's an absolute knockout. Roger backs it up so well on the bass, really inventive bass player. And then you've got Roscoe at the back, a really good drummer. And, you know, as I say, we've had a lot of things happening for us. We've been getting a lot of press publicity. We've got a very good publicity agent who's, well, we chose him because of the stuff he'd done for the Herd, in fact.
By cajoling, arguing, we get press people down to listen to them. And then hope that's impressed them enough for us to follow it up with a bit more chat. And that's basically what my job is, chat. You gotta be listen, and they say, yes, good group.
I keep saying this really good bit, but they are. I've hand-picked these fellas over a year. And now everything's here. And this is their first concert. They're on with The Herd and Scott Walker and Dave Cash's Comparing. And, you know, it's great. It's caused a lot of publicity, a lot of a stir. Everybody's coming down here from the trades. And, you know, we're hoping tonight we're going to smash them and really start the bandwagon rolling. By the end of 1968, I want them to be earning 350 a night at least.
And how are you going to do that?
We're going to have records in the charts.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Last night was absolutely fantastic, especially the second house, because the audience appreciation was so much better than anywhere we've ever had before, particularly for Brighton, being a local group. But principally, there were lots of agents and newspaper people down, and they were the ones who were showing a tremendous amount of interest in the group. And because of this, we're pretty sure that from now on, we're on the upward path.
The group wouldn't get anywhere unless we had a good manager to get behind us. And so we talked to a few people in Brighton and other groups and that, and Mike's name cropped up. We went to see him, and he was looking for a group well like us who wanted to get on, get to the top like this, and he took us over.
Well, Mike is everything that a manager should be, I think. Is in all the years that I've been doing, is the best one I've ever found, as regards pushing you, pushing other people, and doing the things that should be done. He helps us, and really is just what we need.
The box office take at last night's concert grossed the promoters several £1,000s, and for the Span, £4 7 and 6 each. And even that's not all profit.
Out of that came sort of expenses for the day. We were rehearsing all day and our lunch. Myself had a new set of strings, that's another £1. I think somebody had some new valves and amplifier that day, that's another £3. So really, that's money sort of gone already.
Oh, I think as all parents, they were against it to start with, and after I talked them round to it, they could see possibilities.
Radio 1, Emperor Roscoe.
On Radio 1 and 2 at 12...
The home of drummer Roscoe, real name Gary Murphy.
We weren't very keen on Gary going into the pop business in the first place. And they seem to be getting on quite nicely.
It's my ambition to get somewhere in the pop world and also provide for us.
We'd like to buy us a nice little house or whatever we like. We'd rather like a bungalow, wouldn't we, Joey?
Yes, I think so.
That's Emperor Roscoe today at 12.
I think you can't really trust anybody in this business. It's a very hard business to be in. And I personally wouldn't trust anybody at all. You've got to be very careful, and I don't think you've got any people that you can call real friends.
You get these rumours going about in the pop business that, you know, so-and-so's like that and so-and-so's bent, and because this group's got on, so-and-so must be bent because their managers are so-and-so. Oh, it's terrible, really, but...
Groups have done this in the past, played up to the queers. There are queers in the business, we know that. There are queer groups, you know, whether it's going to help them.
As regards myself, I must admit I've been approached twice by the same guy in London who is a well-known pop manager who wanted me to go together with other guys to form a group. He said that I can guarantee you sort of instant success.
We are thinking of signing with a new agency, possibly the Spencer Davis agency.
If you're not with a London agency, that people tend to think you're out in the sticks.
Mike Clayton, our manager, seems to think that they will do the best for us, and he's been in the business now 7 years, so he should know a bit about it. And usually in these matters we follow his judgment.
July 68, and Clayton arrives in London to negotiate the contract.
Have you got the contracts drawn up now that, you know, we've decided to come with your agency?
It'll be ready tomorrow, Mike, and it's quite a long one, as you know. Cool. But we'll get it ready tomorrow. Dates are paid in two ways. One, either they collect cash on the night, or else we're paid by cheque after the engagement. You know, the basic minimum for an agency is 10%. But a lot of people regard that as a sort of standard fee, but it isn't. It's a minimum. Because, quite frankly, 10% of £100, which is a good fee for a group, is only £10. We've negotiated Mike for 15, which we're very happy with, and it gives us the incentive to do that bit extra that we wouldn't do for just a straight agency 10%.
And we're,
we book and we do our best, but the extra 5 gives us, a chance to get at it, which is
make a profit and therefore want to go out and do it. What can we do about, for example, getting in touch with Colin Charman for Simon D's show and Johnny Stewart at the Top of the Pops? I mean, is this possible?
You've got to do it all yourself, so I'm expecting you to phone every producer and bug the hell out of them.
Can we get Saturday Club? I mean, can you get in touch with Keith Bateson, or do you want me to go and see the record to be out of the way?
I think it's your job to check on these individuals. I will liaise with Tommy all the time, and you'll be liaising with me, and we've just all got to go. It doesn't matter if that producer gets 5 calls in the day.
Right, Colin Charman.
Everybody, everybody. If we can get on the news, we'll get on the news, on the weather forecast. Everything, any spot there is to plug that record, get it on.
Yeah. You like the record yourself, John? I mean, you played it just
It's a great record. It could be very, very big, It could really be big, and it does the boys justice, It's a very commercial record.
August, London, and the Span get that much sought-after television appearance, an early evening pop and chat program called How It Is. Can this bring them nearer the dream of a hit record? A jackpot which can lift an unknown group from a life of small-town concerts, debts, nervous breakdowns, from a cramped existence in a clapped-out bus, their permanent home for most of the year, from abject poverty into the big time. All they have to do is produce 3 minutes of sound that will be played night and day for a few weeks, thence to disappear forever. But which must include that elusive magic ingredient that wins public approval, that separates the few hits from the many flops. Does their song have it? Even if it does, one television spot won't be enough to shoot it into the national charts. But it will help. And in September 1968, as they arrive at the BBC television studios, in a mixture of nerves and anticipation, this is all the Mike Stuart Span have.
Right, stand by, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Come on, Ford, do something, you lazy sod.
I fooled the world with my disguise.
And 2, 4, 2, 3.
Closed up my heart, so no one could say there were tears in my eyes.
That's right, flip the turret over that.
Understand me even when I'm crazy. You can understand me when I go astray. You can understand me, all my flights and fancies, and the secret dreams I whisper to you. You believe it.
Well, there's this group called Mike Stuart Span, I think that's what they're called. They rang me up one day and they said, "We have the most fantastic, sensational 2-bit act you've ever seen. You cannot possibly do a television program without them." Well, that's what they all say. They're all crooks, they're all shifty, they're all sort of mean and silly, most of them, pop managers. However, they ring up and some of them are nice, they take them out to lunch. It's all a sort of fix, really. This particular record is like most of the other rubbish that's turned out by the pop world. It's ordinary, dull and silly and very predictable.
And so, after the show, how are things?
A bit duff, really, at the moment. I've got quite a few problems, unfortunately. Spencer Davis-wise, really. They promised me their contract, what was it, 6 weeks ago? You were there at the time. It still hasn't arrived, and neither has any work.